Hi, and welcome to round 2 of Emily's Mysteries of the World. Today we're going to talk about something I am really passionate about, but before we do that, let's recap what we talked about last time. First of all, I had a lot of my non-British foreign friend asking, well, is my accent okay, or is my accent okay? And the answer is yes! Like I said in step 2 of why American girls like British guys, it's the foreign aspect, and if you're foreign, no matter if you have a Spanish, Australian, or as my Australian Twitter friend calls it, convict British, any sort of accent whatsoever except for my boring American Midwest accent, then I'm probably gonna find it sexy. So that's that. I don't know, maybe I was just stating my own personal preference of British accents. I mean, I really like them. I think they sound great. But any foreign accent sounds really nice, and something different from my boring, boring accent. Although I'm sure somebody in the world finds my accent really, really hot, and that's kind of weird to think about because it's so boring. Anyway, let's get down to business. Recently, you might have been seeing commercials for this sporting event you've probably heard of but you've never watched. And you're thinking, oh, what's that? What's that all about? Today, on Emily's Mysteries of the World, we're going to answer this question. What the heck is the Kentucky Derby? I pride myself on knowing quite a bit about horse racing. I mean, I get paid to know a bit about horse racing, so I'm going to endeavor to keep this video under 10 minutes. Probably won't happen, but we'll see. As you may have guessed, the Kentucky Derby is a horse race, and it is probably the most famous horse race in America, if not the world. It also happens to be my favorite horse race, and it's my favorite day of the year, and it's soon! It's in just a week and a half, and I'm so excited! But to keep this brief, I will just give you a brief history of the race, and then what it's all about, where it is, just a blow by blow of the Kentucky Derby in less than 10 minutes. Hopefully. The Kentucky Derby first ran in 1875. It was founded by this guy. Know who he is? No? No, that's Meriwether Lewis Clark. He's the grandson of William Clark, the explorer, like Lewis and Clark went to the Pacific Ocean, you know. So he started the Kentucky Derby, and it first ran in 1875. It meant to kind of be a American substitute for the big race over in Britain that had been running for 100 years already, the Epsom Derby, or as they just call it, the Derby Stakes. Which is a slight reference to my first video. I mean, what sounds better, Derby or Dobby? I rest my case. So in the first Kentucky Derby, this guy entered 2 horses, a really good one named Chesapeake, and a one that people weren't quite sure about called Aristides. So many people expected Chesapeake to win. Instead, it was Aristides who won. Chesapeake didn't even finish in the top 3. So the Kentucky Derby started off right away with an upset victory. A race that would have a lot of upset victories in the future. And it didn't happen until a little while later in 1919 that the first Triple Crown winner happened. The Kentucky Derby is the first race of the Triple Crown, which is, 3 races. It's the Kentucky Derby, and then 2 weeks later it's the Preakness Stakes in Baltimore at Pimlico Racecourse. And then the Belmont Stakes 3 weeks later at Belmont Park in New York is the final leg of the Triple Crown. It's hard to win. No horse has done it since 1978. We're still waiting on one. Only 11 horses have done it since 1919, so pretty tough. Have you heard of Secretariat, Seattle Slew, Barbaro? These are all winners of the Kentucky Derby. Yes, they have all won the Kentucky Derby. So the Kentucky Derby is a 1.25 mile race, which means if you were running around a track, you'd go around it 5 times if it's your standard quarter-mile track. Which is a hell of a lot. I could never run that. It is only open to 3-year-old horses, so this year horses born in 2011 are eligible to run, which means that once you run in the Kentucky Derby, you don't get another chance to run in it again. It's a one-time deal. Usually it's only boy horses who run in the Kentucky Derby, but sometimes girl horses give it a shot too. We've actually had 3 girl winners of the Kentucky Derby. Regret, Genuine Risk, and Winning Colors. The last one was in 1988. So it's not impossible, but it doesn't usually happen. 20 horses are allowed to run in the Kentucky Derby each year, which creates a wild stampede down the home stretch for the first time, and people are cheering and crying, and personally think it's maybe too many horses, but hey, it's exciting. To enter the Kentucky Derby, you have to win these certain races that award you points, and the top 20 point earners at the time of the Kentucky Derby will be able to enter the Kentucky Derby. And horses will drop out because maybe they get injured or maybe they decide not to go, but the top 20 point earners, like the week of the Kentucky Derby, are the horses that are going to run. So you have to win or finish well in these races and earn enough points to get in, or else you're not going to. But like every horse race, sometimes horses have to withdraw from the race or scratch because of certain, things that happen. Things just happen. Sometimes, and it's happened before, a big favorite for the race will scratch out the morning of, and oh my gosh, it causes so much drama, and everyone's freaking out, and it's just wild. But the horses that are outside the top 20, there's a certain point until that point that they can get into the top 20 if a horse drops out, but after that scratch point, they can't get in, and the Derby will be left with like 19 or 18 or how many other horses are left in the Derby. It's usually 20. Last year there were 19. The home of the Kentucky Derby is Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. As you might have guessed, I've been there. It's not so bad. I saw races there. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see what you see on TV every year up close. It's nice. Yeah, so Churchill Downs is where they have the Kentucky Derby every year. And if you're not at Churchill Downs, you can catch the event on NBC. The race goes off around 5:20, 5:30 Central Time, my time, so 6:20, 6:30 Eastern Time. You can correspond your time zones to that. So NBC has it, and then NBC Sports, I think they did last year. They have like the pre-races before the Kentucky Derby on NBC Sports, which is another channel. Fashion plays a big role in the Derby. You'll see the big ridiculous hats that people wear, and dresses, and guys that wear it's just they dress up and they look really nice. And they've started to do this whole red carpet thing where celebrities dress their best for the Kentucky Derby and come in. It's this big hour-long thing before the event starts. And yeah, me personally, I couldn't really care less about the fashion part of it. I'm a big horse fan, but I understand that people like it. So if you like fashion, tune in a couple hours before the big race goes off, and you can see all the celebrities dressed to the nines going to the races, and it's pretty exciting, I guess. And if you're looking to get a little bit tipsy, the official drink of the Kentucky Derby is mint julep, and they've got loads of recipes for it online. It's a very simple mixed drink, so if you want to make some mint juleps for your Kentucky Derby viewing pleasure, you can do so. But be responsible, my American friends, because if you're under 21, no drinks for you, sorry. But if you're anywhere else, go ahead. And if you win the Kentucky Derby, you're rich! Yes! No, it's worth $2 million. Okay, $1,200,000 to the winner, but come on, that's a big chunk of change. What would you do with $1,200,000? I do want to point out, though, that the richest race in the world is not the Kentucky Derby. It's a race in Dubai called the Dubai World Cup that's worth $10 million, but that's beside the point. So the favorite for this year's Kentucky Derby is a horse named California Chrome. I suggest going to YouTube and looking him up. He's really, really good, and people have very high expectations for him in the coming week and a half, so we will see if he can get the job done, or if it's going to be someone else. So that's it! I've successfully talked about the Kentucky Derby in less than 10 minutes! And if I've left anything out, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave it down in the comments below, or shoot me a message and I will answer it for you. Absolutely will, right away. Okay, maybe not right away, but I will. I will get to it, I promise. Thank you for letting me ramble, and thank you for letting me talk about this, because I love it so much, and I hope that I've successfully explained to you what the heck the Kentucky Derby really is. Like this video? Leave down in the comments below what you want me to talk about next. Thanks for watching.